let's wait some more and then we can start.
It's kind of challenge for us.
Yeah, I can imagine how challenging it is. And all the courses are in English, right?
Yeah,
Do you have a lot of assignments?
pretty much. Yeah.
A lot. Oh, where's the microphone? Where is the microphone?
But I'm not adapted so much. Like I can't realize how to do my assignments like that, and that's why I'm here. Right now.
Yeah, it takes time. I think for my first year, it was very difficult as well. Yeah, just to write an essay, like I spent like 12 hours in the library every day. So like, yeah, so after like 6 months, I came back home. My mom was asking me why my face was so like pale and white, and it's because I spent so much time in the library. But I think after 6 months, you get used to it. Yeah, 6 to like 9 months, you know, you get used to the atmosphere, like the students and like professors. So it's gonna be fine. So don't worry.
Thank you.
You're gonna be fine.
Yeah. We're far
Relax.
from home. That's why. We should like
And-
adapt to
And
the
also
stress
like
and also-
it starts better to start low and then like progress like this way, you know. So it's okay to have poor grades at the beginning, but like showing the progression is more important. Good. I think you're really still. I hope we can have some more, but yeah.
It's
Okay.
good.
That's good. Okay, I'll give you an extra point. I forgot.
Really?
Yeah, because I gave Hassan extra point as well.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I forgot your name.
It's Tillo.
Isillo?
Tillo. It's a little bit longer. That's why I think I'm at the bottom. Like Hurematullo Mukuto. My ID is 2024 to 860. I think. No, it's not here. There. Yeah, this.
Your name is very.
Yeah.
How can I?
Tillo.
Tillo?
Yeah, it's TILL.
Tillo.
Yeah.
Okie dokie. Let's start. Okay, you will have a lot of time to read, okay?
Yeah.
Because you're supposed to read. Okay, introduction. Yeah, can you read?
Yeah.
Would you like to sit here?
Preparation for strategy selection. Before selecting a negotiation strategy, thoroughly analyze your position, the other party's position, and the context of the negotiation. This preparation helps in choosing a strategy that best suits the situation. 5 basic strategies. There are 5 basic negotiation strategies. Each applicable to different circumstances. Selecting the right strategy or combination of strategies is the key to successful negotiation. Key factors. The choice of the strategy depends on the 2 main factors: the importance of the relationship with the other party and the importance of the negotiation outcome.
Yeah, so before we actually start the negotiation, it's very important to plan it ahead. And planning includes the most important step, which is to choose your negotiation strategy. So the planning involves analyzing your position, the other party's position, and then the context of the negotiation. And we're going to see what are the positions and the context. And we're going to go over the 5 different strategies, and that includes, whether you put more emphasis on relationship or outcome. But we're going to go over them in details.
Can you just put on the recorder?
All right.
how important the relationship with the other party is, both in the past and future. This will influence your approach to negotiation.
Yeah.
Factors influencing relationships. The importance of the relationship is affected by factors such as the history, level of interdependence, commitment, and the communication between the parties. Outcome concerns. Assess how crucial the negotiation outcome is for you. The importance of achieving the good outcome with a guide will guide your strategy choice. Balancing relationship and outcome. Depending on the priority of relationship versus outcome, your negotiation strategy will vary if the both are important. A collaborative approach may be necessary.
Hello.
Oh my God! Thank
Oh,
you.
that's good. We have two members,
Yeah.
two students
Yeah.
to do the
You
role
can
play.
hear it, man.
All right.
How are you, man, Professor?
Okay. I'll give you extra point. Sorry for changing.
Hi.
But he has class too.
Yeah, I have a class too. Yeah, I get like permission. I will text to the professor from email. I will participate.
Okay, it takes some time for me to memorize your name. What's your name again? Kashif.
Yeah.
Okay, here.
What do you?
I was just trying to.
All right. Oh, would you like to take out your, okay. I mean, do you not have to take out your computer or anything, like notes? Is okay? Yeah. So in order to assess the positions of you and then the other party, two components are very important. So they are relationship and outcome. So what kind of relationship do you have with the other party? Or what kind of outcomes would you like to see out of the negotiation? So those are the two most important elements of the position that you have to assess before planning out. Alright? So, and the negotiation strategies differ by how much emphasis you put on either relationship or outcome. Alright, so this is a car buying example. Kasif, would you like to read?
Car buying example of strategy application. Car buying example illustrates how the importance of the relationship and outcome can lead to different negotiation strategies depending on whether you are dealing with dealer, neighbor, or family member. In the car buying example, when purchasing from a dealer, the primary focus is on the outcome, such as getting the best price, since there is little concern for long-term relationship. Aggressive negotiation is likely as the relationship is not significant. However, when buying from a neighbor, both the outcome and the relationship matter. You might compromise on the price to maintain a positive relationship, balancing both interests. In contrast, when buying from a family member, such as your mother, the relationship takes precedence over the outcome. Here you would prioritize maintaining harmony and helping your family member, possibly agreeing to a less favorable deal for yourself. This example highlights how the importance of the relationship versus the outcome that directs the negotiation strategy.
Right. So suppose you want to buy a car, but then you're trying to buy a car from a dealer or from your neighbor or from your mother. So the other party differs by 3, right? So it's going to be either a dealer or a neighbor or mother. And according to your negotiation partner, the emphasis on relationship or outcome differ greatly. So say you want to buy a car from your mother, which is more important, relationship or outcome?
Relationship.
Right, because you can't really forsake your relationship with your mom. Even after buying a car, you want to, your relationship with your mother lasts a lot longer than buying a car, right? What about from a dealer?
Outcome?
Yes, because after you buy a car, you can just go away, so you just have to focus on the outcome. With a neighbor, there's a possibility that you can move away, but as long as you stay in the same place, you have to see both the relationship and a bit of outcome as well, because you would actually buy a car from a dealer if, you can't really have a good price.
I think it's in the middle.
Yeah, so neighbor is sort of in the middle, right? So according to your partner or negotiation partner, the outcome or the relationship components differ. But this is very important to remember. Yeah, so there are 5 different strategies. So according to the outcome, the importance of the outcome can be low or high. Or the importance of relationship can be low or high. So here, avoiding.
Like putting in a low side like relationship and a high side like outcome.
Yeah, so the graph is the graph, yeah. So avoiding strategy is when the importance of outcome is low, and also the importance of the relationship is low. When both are low. Avoiding negotiation, lose-lose. But we're gonna go over all the 5 strategies in details. So when you place more emphasis on outcome than relationship, then your negotiation strategies become competitive. So you win, at all costs, right? And when you put a lot of emphasis on relationship, then your negotiation strategy becomes accommodating. You try to accommodate, take into account the other party's interests more. And when you place emphasis on outcome and relationship both high, then it becomes collaborative. You try to win-win, and this is the best scenario, right? And sometimes you have to make a compromise in all the 4 because you want to make the result out of the negotiation. When there's a short frame of time that you want to get the result out, then you make a significant compromise. So we're going to go over the 5 strategies in detail, okay? All right, so 5 strategies. Would you like to read?
5 strategies. Avoiding lose-lose.
Mm.
Use it when neither relationship nor the outcome is important.
Hello.
The strategy involves controlling or avoiding the negotiation, leading to a situation where neither party's needs are fully met.
Yeah.
Accommodating, lose to win. Applied when the relationship is more important than outcome.
Mm.
You prioritize preserving a relationship by conceding on the outcome, often to maintain long-term rapport. Competitive, win, lose. Focuses on achieving a favorable outcome with a little concern for the relationship. This strategy is about winning at all costs. Typically use it when the relationship isn't expected to continue.
Yeah.
Collaborative, win-win. Use it when both relationship and the outcome are important. The goal is to find a mutual beneficial solution that satisfies both parties, enhancing the relationship while achieving the desired outcome. Compromising, split the difference. A middle ground approach where the both relationship and outcome are moderately important. Each parties make concessions to reach a resolution that is acceptable to both. Often use it when the time is limited or full collaboration isn't feasible.
Right, so you can see that competitive strategies is chosen when the outcome is a lot more important than relationship, right? And accommodating strategy is chosen when relationship is a lot more important than outcome. And avoiding is like when both outcome and relationship don't really matter, And collaborative is taken when the outcome and relationship are both important. And it's very important to enter a negotiation which can be win-win for both parties, because it's actually quite difficult to make this scenario. Okay, and then compromising, as I said, when there's a short time frame and you want to have the result out as soon as possible, then you have to make a compromise. So there are 5 different types.
Can I take there?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah. How's that? You said you were going to prayer.
Yeah, that's why I'm late. It's 2:15.
Oh, you came back. Oh, okay. Okay. So choosing appropriate strategies. Hassan, would you like to read?
The strategy framework, negotiation strategies are determined by the importance placed on the relationship and the outcome. Represented on a graph with 5 strategies emerging from different levels of concern for each. Second is strategy selection. In real life negotiations, situations are often complex, requiring a mix of strategies rather than a single pure strategy. The appropriate strategy may vary depending on the specific circumstances and the other party's approach. Anticipating the other party, understanding and anticipating the other party's strategy is crucial, as it may influence your own strategy choice and the overall success of the negotiation.
Right. So as I told you, there are 5 different strategies, and the strategy selection can differ by the analysis of the other party. So if you think that the other party is competitive, then it's actually much better if you were to take the competitive strategy yourself. Because the competitive party will try to take as much interest as possible from the negotiation. So it's actually better for you to take a competitive strategy, although you want to take a collaborative strategy. So according to the analysis of the other party, and as time goes by, the stance or the strategy of the other party can differ. So you have to constantly analyze what kind of strategies the other party is taking. Okay, so first, avoiding strategy. Let's have a look to this in more detail. Kasif?
Avoiding strategy lose-lose. The avoiding strategy is used when negotiation is seen as a waste of time or not worth pursuing due to low value in the outcome and relationship. It involves choosing not to negotiate, which might be beneficial when the cost of negotiation outweighs the benefits. Situational use. This strategy is appropriate when the outcome is insignificant, the relationship is not important, or when a strong alternative is available. For example, if another option meets your needs, you might avoid negotiating altogether. Impact on relationships. While avoiding can be practical, it may negatively impact relationships if the other party expects negotiations. In such cases, if preserving the relationship is important, one might switch to a more accommodating strategy.
Right. So avoiding strategy happens when you see that there's not much thing can be gained from the negotiation. If you feel that like there is not much significant outcome that can be gathered from the negotiation, or if you feel that the relationship with the other party is not very much necessary, then you just avoid the negotiation. It actually helps if you were to like avoid a negotiation, because negotiation necessitates a lot of efforts, a lot of your efforts and time, you know? So you analyze the situation. If you feel that like, oh, there's no need for me to get involved with the negotiation, then I might just avoid, you know? And actually, this really helps. Yeah, a lot of times there are many instances when, you know, it doesn't really matter if you were to get involved or not. And like, you know, analyzing and determining if you actually have to invest your time and efforts in this type of argument or negotiation is very important before you actually start. So avoiding strategies, you know, like acknowledging that avoiding is a strategy is very important. Okay, second, accommodating strategy. Who's starting? Is it hospital? Is work?
Accommodating strategy, lose to win, prioritizing relationships. The accommodating strategy is used when the relationship is more important than the negotiation outcome.
Yeah.
It involves giving into the other party's preference to build and strengthen the relationship. Often leading to short-term loss for long-term gain.
Yeah.
Future benefits. Accommodating now may create future opportunities as seen in relationships where giving up something now can lead to better outcomes later, such as improved support or assistance, or cooling of tension in a ongoing relationship. Strategic use. This strategy is often short-term, aimed at maintaining open communication and avoiding conflict. It's particularly useful in ongoing relationships where pressing the other party might harm future interactions. Potential risks. While accommodating can strengthen relationship, may also encourage the other party to adopt a competitive stance if they perceive continuous accommodation as weakness. It's important to manage this risk with a damage control strategy.
Right. So accommodating strategies happens when you want to take into account relationship a lot more important than the outcome, especially if you enter a negotiation with your family members, because a lot of times your relationship with your family members will just go on, right? So you actually have to give in to your mother or father, because ultimately they are the sources of your a lot of your support, right? So giving in to them in the short term, actually you gain a lot more in the long term. So in a lot of times when the relationship is so much more important, then accommodating strategy happens. And it sort of happens in the community as well, like within the school or within like shops in the neighborhood. For a shopkeeper to give you some discount for certain items can really help, because it sort of builds the trust. That okay, this shop is very cheap and it sells really good stuff with
Psychology.
right, exactly. And then the people come in, and it's actually better in the long. But then in the role play that we're going to do today in the second half of the class, if you take accommodating strategies too much, then it actually turn the other partner into competitive mode. Yeah, so that's why you have to be very careful. I mean, you can accommodate when you can trust the other person. Let's say your family member, or say someone that you can trust, like your teacher or whatever, your trusted friend, then you can take the accommodating strategy. But with a random person that you can't really trust, or especially with a person that you can't trust, it's quite dangerous to take this approach, because you actually can't gain much from your relationship, and you actually have to forsake your short-term outcome. All right, competitive strategy, Hassan.
Competitive strategy overview. The competitive strategy prioritizes the negotiation outcome over the relationship, often leading to a win-lose situation. It is used when resources are limited and the goal is to maximize gains, regardless of long-term consequences or relationship dynamics. Short-term focus. This strategy is typically employed in one-time negotiations or situations where the future relationship is not important. The focus is on immediate gains, often at the expense of the relationship, which may be strained or damaged. Tactics used. Competitive strategies often involve tactics like bluffing, attrition, and threats to gain an advantage. While these tactics can be effective, they also carry the risk of backfiring if not used carefully. Win them intuitively. The competitive strategy emphasizes differences between parties, creating a win-their attitude, which can lead to a lack of trust and increased conflict during negotiations.
Yeah, so competitive strategies is the most common type strategy for negotiation. When a lot of people talk about the strategies for negotiation, they think of it as a competitive strategy. But it's actually not very wise if the relationship is very important. And in a lot of business cases as well, actually in the long term, if you build a relationship, then you gain. So actually employing the competitive strategy for big short-term gain, actually you lose in the long term. So competitive strategy, you can think of it as like a one-time negotiation. So if you think that the other party is not valuable enough to maintain a long-term relationship, then you can actually do the competitive relationship. So So you can choose the tactics like bluffing. You can bluff about how much you have and how much resources that you have, or you brag about it. Or you can be very aggressive in your dealing. So you can just say, oh, if you don't take this deal, then I'll just walk away. So don't bother it, Or you even use threats. And this kind of cases happen a lot when you travel. When you're traveling, in tourist places, when you go to shop, you want to buy something. But then, after you buy this, you're not going to come back to this country again, right? So a lot of cases, you can actually use competitive strategy. You can actually threaten the shopkeeper that, I'm not going to buy if you don't give this to me with this price, And people just give threats to the shopkeeper, and it sometimes works, So in this kind of case, if you think that this one-time, negotiation is so much important that you don't want to think about the other scenarios, then it's actually better for you to take a competitive strategy.
So could you explain the we-they mentality?
So this is because you don't actually think about the relationship. Relationship is basically, you try to accommodate interests and perspectives of they, right? But we-they mentality is sorry, we make a great divide.
In instance, we make teams, this is our team and the enemy is the shopkeeper or something like that.
Yeah. You don't accommodate their interests. Sorry. Okay, Kasif.
Bargaining range. In a competitive negotiations, the concept of bargaining range is central to the process. The bargaining range consists of 3 key points for each target. The starting point, the target point, and the walk-away point. The starting point is where each party begins the negotiations, with one party typically starting high and the other low, as seen in examples like car buying or labor negotiations. The target point represents the ideal outcome that each party hopes to achieve. The walk-away point, sometimes called the reservation point, is the absolute minimum or maximum that a party is willing to accept before walking away from the negotiations. This point is often kept confidential, as revealing it could weaken one's negotiation position. Negotiation occurs as both parties make concessions with the goal of bringing their bargaining ranges into overlap. If the buyer's highest offer meets or exceeds the seller's lowest acceptable price, a deal can be reached. However, if the ranges do not overlap and neither party is willing to adjust their expectations, the negotiation may reach an impasse. In such cases, parties must decide whether to make further concessions, explore alternative solutions, or end the negotiations altogether. Understanding and managing the bargaining range is crucial, as it directly influences the likelihood of reaching a successful agreement.
Yeah, because I told you that competitive strategy is the most common type, right? So if you just focus on the outcome, then a lot of times competitive strategy works, right? And if you were to take the competitive strategy, it's very important to analyze your bargaining range. The bargaining range is composed of 3 different areas. So the first is starting point, and your target point is here, and somewhere in the middle of it is your walk away or reservation point. So, say you're traveling in which country? India, right? And you came across this very nice shop with a lot of antiques, or with a lot of, what would you like to buy? Huh? What would you like to buy? Huh?
Maybe
Food?
some burgers.
Burger? You can't really make a bargain. Pottery. Say you want to buy a pottery, right? And you just came across a very nice antique shop, right? And you came in, and then there are so many good stuff, Oh, what about carpet?
Oh.
Carpet, yeah. Say say you want to buy a carpet, you went to an antique shop and they have a lot of like nice like carpets, and you came across a very nice carpet that you want to buy, and you're thinking like, okay, you're thinking of the target price. So how much would you like to pay, right? And you're thinking, okay, I think $2,000 is a good price, right? So your target price is this. But you never disclose it to the shopkeeper, right? You're just thinking on your own, right? And you ask the shopkeeper, oh, so this looks nice. How much is this? And the shopkeeper says, 7,000. What do you have to do? It's a competitive strategy. Huh? Yeah, you lower the price.
By negotiating.
Yeah, by negotiating and like
Bargaining.
yeah, bargaining, right? So you start like like making negotiations, like blah 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 blah, and then you actually, as you talk to each other, you actually think about the price. You started with $2,000, but you actually say that okay, maybe like I can buy with $3,500, you know, because you actually came across a less less nice carpet with $3,000 just before. So you think that like okay, I can actually pay. Right. So this will be your walk away point. Okay? So I mean, you haggle and haggle and haggle, but then like if he says, oh, I can't give you below like $4,000, then you just walk away. So this is gonna be your walk away point. So like remembering your bargaining range is very important, you know, because it actually determines how much effort you want to put into the negotiation. And in order to decide your bargaining range, very important concept, the next one. This is, you know, I really, out of this course, there are like 3 things that I want you guys to remember, and this is one of the most important concepts. And you came for this class, so you won't forget. And every time you go to a negotiation class, you will hear this expression, betna. Yeah, but this is one of the most important concepts that you have to remember out of the negotiation class. Whose turn is it? Who's it?
Yeah,
Attila?
yeah.
Your turn to read? Okay. Oh.
Better, okay. But the best alternative to negotiated agreement. But is a key concept in negotiation that represents the best outcome a party can achieve if the current negotiations fail. It serves as a benchmark against which all potential agreements should be measured.
Yeah.
Knowing your partner gives you leverage in a negotiation because it sets a clear standards for a minimum acceptable outcome.
Yeah.
If offer on the table is worse than your partner, you are better off walking away from the negotiation. Conversely, if the offer is better than your partner, it might be worth accepting. Having a strong partner strengthens your negotiation position as it gives you the confidence to reject unfavorable offers. It also allows you to negotiate more aggressively, knowing that you will have a solid alternative if the deal doesn't work out. Conversely, if your partner is weak, you may need to make more concessions to reach an agreement. Being well informed about your partner and the other party's partner, if possible, can be greatly influence the dynamics of the negotiation, helping your make strategic decisions and avoid.
So, BETNA is basically best alternative to negotiated agreement. So say from this example, I just told you that in the previous shop, you came across a similar but a little bit less quality carpet with $3,200. This is your BATNA in this situation. Best alternative, what was it? To negotiated agreement. Because if this fails, then you can go to the other shop and buy a similar quality carpet with $3,200.
But it is not the similar quality. It's
Um,
less.
Yes, less, but then you can, I mean, with $300, you know, like,
But it does same thing, like has the same structure and same.
yeah, so I mean, it's a psychological one. You can think of it as a best alternative. You know, it's not the same thing, but you can think of it as a best alternative. And say you're in a salary negotiation, and you know, like you want to raise by how much? Like $10,000 a year, and you know, if you already found a nice alternative outside your company, which offer you $1,500 more than your current salary amount, then you actually have a strong alternative. So that is a BATNA. You know, how much, what kind of alternative you have. You know, what kind of best alternative that you have, and then that sort of determines your threshold for your agreement in this negotiation. So having a strong BATNA is very important because you can actually walk away from the current negotiation if you have a strong BATNA. So this concept is very, very important in negotiation. So assessing and analyzing your BATNA as well as the other person's or party's BATNA is very important. Okay, so so BATNA and like bargaining range, I mean these elements are part of the competitive strategy, but there are drawbacks in using a competitive strategy. Whose turn is it? Okay.
Potential success and costs. The competitive strategy can lead to successful outcomes with negotiators often believing they have secured the best possible deal. However, this approach is typically time-consuming and resource-intensive, involving significant effort in outmaneuvering the other party, akin to tactical battles like chess or military strategy.
Yeah.
Risks of escalation and relationship damage. If one party adopts a competitive stance, it can provoke the other party to do the same, escalating conflict and potentially harming the relationship. This can lead to a loss of goodwill, tougher negotiations, and a less favorable outcome than if a more collaborative approach had been taken. Inexperience and self-fulfilling prophecy. Inexperienced negotiators often default to a competitive strategy, missing opportunities for better outcomes. Moreover, assuming the other party will be competitive can create a self-fulfilling prophecy, where both sides end up adopting competitive behaviors, reinforcing initial assumptions and making the negotiation more contentious.
Right. So, as you can see, if you were to take the competitive strategy, you have to think of all these, you know, like bargaining range and like BATNA. So it takes a lot of time, you know, to get prepared as well as to get engaged. So you know, before you actually engage with the competitive strategy, you have to think hard whether it's worth the efforts, right? And then because the competitive strategy takes less importance of the relationship, you take the risk of damaging your relationship if you were to take the competitive strategy. So even after the negotiation fails, you know, like you actually take the risk of like, you know, breaking the relationship out of the negotiation. So if you think that, you know, okay, I can just, you know, forego the relationship component from this negotiation, then I can take the competitive strategy. But if you think that the relationship with the other party is very important, then you have to be very careful in taking the competitive strategy. Yeah, so The fourth one, collaborative strategy, win-win situation. And
Collaborative
Hasib?
strategy, win-win. Mutual importance of relationship and outcome. The collaborative strategy, also known as win-win, is used when both parties value the relationship and the outcome equally. It involves working together to achieve goals that benefit both sides, contrasting with the competitive strategy where goals are seen as mutually exclusive. Trust and cooperation. Collaboration requires a high degree of trust, openness, and cooperation. Both parties acknowledge their interdependence and work to find common needs and goals, leading to mutually supportive outcomes. Applicability. This strategy is particularly effective in situations where parties have ongoing relationships, shared interests, or common goals, such as within an organization or between departments. It is essential that both parties commit to the collaborative approach for it to succeed. Challenges and rewards. While collaboration demands more time, effort, and creativity, the results are typically more rewarding. It leads to better outcomes and stronger relationships with parties willing to respect deadlines and negotiations as needed to achieve their goals.
Right. So collaborative strategy is the best one, and it's actually quite difficult to engage with a collaborative strategy. You know, to find a partner who actually takes the collaborative strategy with you is a fortune. You know, it's being very, very lucky. So even to enter a negotiation with collaborative strategy actually makes you stronger, because even when the negotiation fails, you actually have a good relationship left. So, I mean, as you're a student now, but when you go into the society, when you start working, you know, creating an environment or, you know, entering a negotiation with a collaborative strategy, both for yourself and for the other, is very, very important, you know?
But
Yeah.
the opponent party should also be collaborative as well, so that then
Hmm?
we can just, like, the opponent party should also be collaborative as well. Like, if they are not, so then.
Yeah. So for you to apply the collaborative strategy is important, but you have to assess whether the other party takes the same strategy. So that's why it's very difficult to enter such a negotiation. Even to find a partner who can, you know, use the collaborative strategy is quite difficult.
It's like an ideal situation.
No, but you can actually make one, you know? And then think of your sort of life goal or the career goal as to make an organization or a partner or a relationship which is collaborative. Yeah. When you make like collaborative, like relationship, collaborative strategy and collaborative organization more and more, you actually are making a stronger sort of organism or the system within your life. Because, you know, even after a lot of setbacks and difficulties, your relationship remains, and actually they help you. You know, so this mechanism is very important. This is a difficult one to make, but it actually is very rewarding if you were to enter into this one and make the mechanism. All right, so keys to successful negotiation. Is it?
Commitment to mutual understanding. Successful collaboration requires both parties to be committed to understanding each other's needs and objectives. Unlike the competitive strategies where the goal is to outmaneuver the other party, collaboration aims to achieve mutual goals by genuinely understanding, addressing the underlying needs of the both sides. Free flow of the information. Open and accurate information exchange is a collaborative strategy. Both parties must be willing to share comprehensive and truthful information, which contrasts with the competitive strategy where information is often guarded or distorted. Emphasis or on mutual goals. In collaboration, the focus is on minimizing differences, emphasizing the similarities, and working together to achieve the outcomes that satisfy both parties. This requires willingness to define perspectives and prioritize mutual success over the individual gain for fostering trust and effective problem solving.
Right, so I emphasize that entering or employing a collaborative strategy for yourself and for the other party is very important. And like two of the important characteristics of the collaborative strategy, first is the free flow of information. So when you enter into a collaborative strategy, often is the case, the communication in the negotiation is open, you know, and like free flowing, a lot of communication, a lot of conversation, and open and like trust building work. And also, there's a lot more emphasis on like common goals. You know, how can we achieve the common goals? You know, and like achieving the common goals actually sort of minimizes the differences that you have in terms of the position, in terms of the interest that you have. So finding a common goal is very important, and also facilitating like open communication in the process of negotiation is a good tactic that you can employ to enhance the collaborative approach, the strategy. Yeah, so what are the obstacles to successful negotiation then? What's that?
Mutual willingness required. Collaboration in negotiation is only successful if both parties are committed to it. If one party does not see collaboration as viable or is focused solely on its own goals, collaboration becomes difficult or impossible. Challenges from competitive history. A history of competitive behavior or the expectation that the other party will be competitive can hinder the shift to a collaborative approach. This mindset often leads parties to default to competitive strategies even when collaboration might be more beneficial. Mixed negotiation contexts. When negotiations involve both competitive and collaboration issues, competitive tactics often overshadow collaborative efforts. Effective communication is crucial to overcome these obstacles and foster a collaborative environment.
Right, so as Kasif mentioned, it's actually quite difficult to have a collaborative strategy because a lot of times, you know, like the other party is competitive, you know, and a lot of times we actually perceive the other party or ourselves as being competitive as well. So our perception is actually preconceived in a way that being competitive. So when we think of like negotiation, entering a negotiation, we instantly think, oh, okay, we have to take a competitive stance in order to win. So that's why it's quite difficult to enter into a collaborative strategy. But you know, at the same time, it's actually quite important. I really want to emphasize for you guys, you know, if you find a partner who can actually have a collaborative strategy with you and enter into such a negotiation, then you have to think, oh, this is a very important opportunity for me. And this is a way for me to make a long-lasting, very mutually beneficial relationship and partner in the long run. Okay, and the last category is a compromising negotiation.
Youth
All right, okay.
compromising negotiations. Used in mid negotiations, the compromising strategy is often employed in negotiations where both the relationship and the outcome are of moderate importance.
Mm.
It serves as a middle ground approach when elements of both competition and collaboration are present. Balanced concessions. In this strategy, both parties make concessions, ensuring that each side gains something, though not necessarily to the fullest extent. It offers an advantage over purely competitive or accommodating strategies by balancing both relationship and outcome concerns. Efficiency or optimal outcomes. Compromising is often chosen when a fully collaborative approach is too complex or time consuming. While it may not deliver the best possible results, it is efficient and can be implemented quickly, making it a practical solution when resources or time are limited. Default strategy. Compromise is frequently viewed as a suitable fallback when other strategies such as collaboration or competition are not feasible. It allows for some level of mutual gain making it a practical second choice in any negotiation.
Right, so compromising happens when there's a time limit. Say in this situation, oh, I have to go. I mean, like the time for flight is ticking, you know, so I have to leave. So I just tell the shopkeeper, oh, I have to leave now, you know. Oh, I know, I can't take the $3,500, or else I'll just leave. And then the shopkeeper just like
Stops you.
yeah, blocks me, and then what about $3,000? And I'm like, oh, okay, I'll think about it, but I have to go. And then the shopkeeper blocks me again. Okay. What about 28? Would you take it?
I'll think about it, but I just do 2 or more steps. Like he will just lower and makes like 2,650,
All right.
and it would be like beneficial for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So in this case, $2,600. Yeah, this is gonna be a compromising.
Yeah.
Yeah. So when there's time limit, then either the party, you know, like wants to end the deal as soon as possible, and it throws a deal.
It seems like simulating a situation.
Yeah. And then it can actually make the compromise a lot faster than you imagine. All right, example of compromise negotiation. Describing them? Okay.
Imagine a scenario where a labor union is negotiating with a company's management over employee wages. The union initially demands a 10% wage increase to keep up with the inflation, while the company facing financial pressures offers only 2% increase. Both sides recognize the importance of maintaining a good relationship and avoiding a strike, but they also need to address their perspectives priorities. After several rounds of discussion, they agree on a compromise 5% wage increase. The union doesn't get a full 10% initially wanted, but it secures more than a company's initial 2% offer. The company, on the other hand, doesn't have a bear to burden of a 10% increase, which it might not have been able to afford, but it agrees a higher rate than it originally intended.
Yes, according to this scenario, what is the target?
It's increasing the wage increase for employees.
Yeah, so the bargaining rate differs by
Like there is a target or starting point for both the
Yeah.
parties different.
yeah. So
The target will be 10%.
10% for the labor
yeah.
and
And the
2%
starting
for
point is 2%.
And I mean, nobody knows about the walk away
Yeah.
point, but then the bargaining, the compromising is 5%. So a lot of times negotiation happens in this way. You know, you make a compromise and the number comes out of it.
Is the strike here the walkway point?
Strike
Or you
is
wanna strike?
fail.
Is it the walkway point for both parties?
Strike. Walk away point.
Because the workers cannot just quit, they need the jobs. But if they go on strike, they are on jobs, but they don't work.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah, it can work that way.
what if
Yeah.
they fired them?
But I don't understand what
Walk away point can be a strike by the laborers.
What if the company fired
Fires
the
them?
laborers?
Company needs workers, right?
Then it will be like
we should consider
Lose-lose-
the influence.
lose-lose
It's
situation
it
for
happens in
both.
influence. That's why the company is pressuring. He should increase the wages
What
because
was
he
the
will.
name of lose-lose
like-
strategy?
Huh?
What was the name of lose-lose strategy?
Lose, avoiding.
So
Yeah.
it would be then avoiding if they get fired. Like both the company
Yeah,
and
and
the
then
laborers
it-
would like
Yeah,
end up.
avoid. Yeah. Well, avoiding walk away point will be the strike. Yeah, because I think the walk away point can differ by whether it's a company or the laborers. So walk away point for no. Walkaway point can't be the strike.
Because the workers they are almost in charge because they have to work for the company to run, and if they don't work, then they are like walking away from the company's position, but they still have the jobs. Company hasn't fired them because
Like
company,
here-
If there's a point that the company can't fire them, then their walkaway point can be the strike.
There are
But
different
then,
scenarios.
yeah,
for
yeah,
it, like-
yeah. But then if the company can fire them,
Yeah.
then the walkaway point will be
Cannot
completely
be,
different.
yeah,
Yeah.
company will lose both sides.
Yeah. So I mean, it can differ by like different scenarios. That's why it's very important to analyze the different size, positions, and context. Right? So when to use which strategy? So we have to ask these questions before engaging with a negotiation and to choose what kind of strategy that I have to employ. Who's starting? Okay, Hassan.
How the first question is how important is the outcome to be gained from this negotiation? Second would be how important is the past, present, and the future relationship with the outcome? Is this negotiation voluntary or imposed? Are both parties going to be going into it willingly, or has it been assigned by a manager or some other constituency whose voice and support are influential? Is the situation highly structured? Are there rules, laws, and management mandates that will direct the negotiation? Is the agenda already established? Can it be changed if necessary?
Yeah, so you have to ask these questions to choose which strategy. So we've considered the outcome and then the relationship component. But third, fourth, and fifth, the third is like, whether the negotiation is voluntary or imposed. If it's imposed from the external bodies, then you have to take into account the voices or the opinions of the external body, right? And also, if the situation or the negotiation has to follow certain rules, laws, and like management mandates, then you really have to, as you say, I mean, if the company can fire them, then there's a certain rule that they have to abide by, so you have to take into account these like structures as well. And the fifth one, the last one, agenda already established, or can it be changed? If we can somehow change the agenda, then we can actually restart the negotiation. So asking these questions are very important before like starting the negotiation. Okay. All right. And then when to choose which strategy?
When to
Qasim?
choose which strategy? Situation analysis. Evaluate the situation by considering the importance of outcomes versus the relationship. Determine which strategy, competitive, collaborative, compromising, accommodating, or avoiding is most effective based on the specific circumstances. Personal preferences. Reflect on your own preferences and biases for certain strategies. Your comfort with particular strategy can influence your tendency to overuse or underuse it. Even when another approach might be more appropriate. Values and principles. Your strategy choice is also shaped by your personal values, such as integrity, respect, and fair play. These subtle factors can significantly impact your willingness to use certain strategies in negotiations.
Yeah, so other than relationship and outcome components, there are things that you have to consider. And the first thing is your personal preference. For some people, like actually I don't really like taking a competitive strategy, and you might just say, oh, I don't really care about the relationship, so I'm being very comfortable with a competitive strategy, and for some as well, I mean, they can be very sort of accommodating. So they want to respect the other party. So I could personally prefer an accommodating strategy. So you actually have to think about your preference as well. And the second thing is linked with your personal preference, because your personal preference comes out of your values and the principles that you have. I put a lot of emphasis on like collaborative strategy because I mean from my own experience, having that collaborative negotiation helps even after the negotiation fails. Like in your workplace or like within your business deals, like even though the negotiation might not work, the relationship remains. So in like other circumstances, that relationship can help you. So that's why I just told you that the collaborative strategy is really really helpful, and it's linked with your values in life. And there are other things that you have to consider.
Questions according to value and principles. How much do you value truth, integrity, manners, courtesy? Is respect an important issue for you? How important is fair play? And what is that for that matter? How do you define fair? How much of your ego is involved in this, your reputation, your image? How concerned are you about how you will see yourself or others will see you? If you get what you want or don't get what you want.
Right. So when you think about your personal preferences and the values and principles that you have to ask this kind of questions. So what do you mean by fair? What do you mean by truthful in dealing with negotiation? And what do you want to have? After the negotiation, what if like people think of you as being really stingy? What if people think of you being really greedy? Although you actually gain a lot out of the negotiation, you feel that my ego has been sort of disdained out of the negotiation. So you have to think about these questions, because this is linked with your sort of personal value and personal image. Okay, so then there are other components that you have to think. Ms. Parvizia?
When to use which strategy? Experience. Your past experience with different strategies affect your proficiency and likelihood of using them. The more experienced you are with the strategy, the more you may lean towards it in complex situations. Interactions of styles. Consider how your negotiation style interacts with the other party's style. The combination of styles such as two competitive negotiators can influence the level of conflict and the negotiation dynamics. Perceptions and past experience. Your perceptions of and past experiences with the other party, including trust and communication, play a crucial role in shaping a strategy. The history of your relationship and its future importance should guide your approach.
Right. And in choosing which strategy, your experience actually matters a lot. Your life experiences. So if you have engaged with a lot of collaborative strategy in collaborative environment, then you feel comfortable, right? But if you're more engaged, if you've been exposed to hostile environment and you have to employ a lot of competitive strategies, and you're actually used to it. So your past experiences affect your current choice of strategies. So you have to analyze what kind of experiences you've had so far in terms of which strategy you can choose for this current negotiation. So it's the likely interactions between negotiators of different styles. The words are very small. Can you actually access the? I don't think it's very difficult.
We can just read it.
Yeah, you can actually read it in my PPT. Yeah. So there are 5 different strategies, but there are 5 different types of negotiators as well. So according to which type of strategies you take, there can be different combinations. So you can actually look into the details. I've actually written it down in the PPT, or you can actually look into the textbook, and then it details, different styles that you have in terms of when you're avoiding a type of negotiator, and the other person is accommodating type, what kind of styles or negotiation that you can take, right? So you can have a look at the details in the textbook or the PPT. Right, so this is gonna be the final one. Whose turn? Okay, Kasif, yeah.
Importance of planning. Flexibility of no strategy approach. Some negotiators believe that not committing to a specific strategy allows for maximum flexibility. based on the opponent's actions. This approach can help in understanding the opponent's intentions and avoiding early commitment to a potentially ineffective strategy. Risks of not planning. While a no strategy choice might offer initial flexibility, it is often seen as a way to avoid proper planning and can put the negotiator at a disadvantage. Without a clear strategy, the other party may gain an upper hand before you realize it. Importance of proactive planning. It's recommended to select a strategy based on your goals for the relationship and outcome and to plan accordingly. Starting with a strategy and being proactive increases the likelihood of achieving your desired results with the ability to adapt as necessary.
Right. And some people actually say that no strategy approach works because you never know what kind of a person the other partner is, you know. So unless you get to know about the other party, then you can't actually take which strategy you want to have out of the negotiation. But actually, it's an excuse, you know. So when people say, "Oh, we don't need a strategy," you know, it's actually an excuse not to plan before. So the authors of this textbook argue that, you know, we need a proactive planning before engaging with the negotiation, and that's why they've actually listed the components you have to take into. And in the textbook, they say that like outcome, relationships are the two most important components that you have to take into account for negotiation strategy. But other than that, you know, you have to take into account the personal preferences, your values and values and principles, and also your experiences. You know, so like analyzing all of them before you actually start a negotiation and doing a lot of research about the other partner help you to plan ahead the negotiation and help you to effectively engage with the negotiation. So we've looked into the details for effective strategy. So excuse me. Today's role play is quite serious, and it's gonna involve quite a lot of like thinking. Yeah. It's about the racial sort of conflict. So we're gonna do this after a 5 minutes break. Okay? 5 minutes break.